if you part of the culture, then you'll understand why I'm talking about 50 Cent and Big Meech. I need you to write culture if you understand. Now, this has been a big situation that I think we need to start from right here. This is the full paperwork party of Big Meech is information in this whole situation. 1090 Jake just dropped it. We're going to react to this right now, and that's that. Let me know where you guys are from. Let me know your views on this whole situation, and let's get right into it, bro.
Beefs of 2025 has had everyone at the edge of their seats. Shocked would be the word best to describe seeing former drug trafficker / street legend Big Meech next to former corrections officer / rapper Rick Ross.
Wow.
Ross would always give the facade that he was some drug lord from Miami, even going as far as naming himself after a drug lord from Los Angeles. Ross would mention Big Meech on his 2010 album Teflon Don, the very nickname of none other than John Gotti. Within the song BMF...
Yo, what was you doing when that album came out? What was y'all doing when that came out, bro? That was a good time for hip-hop, I ain't gonna lie. That was a great time for the culture.
Ross would rap, "I think I'm Big Meech, Larry Hoover." Ross would be boldly comparing himself to Meech, who we all know ran BMF, the Black Mafia family. A drug trafficking money laundering organization founded in 1985 in Southwest Detroit, prosecutors allege BMF made over $270 million over the course of its operation. A Los Angeles drug source with direct ties to Mexican cartels would be the entryway in which BMF established direct routes to Atlanta, where they flooded the southern states with kilos of cocaine. But this wasn't the only person Rick Ross felt he was like. He'd also name another street legend, Larry Hoover. Hoover is being held responsible for founding the Gangsta Disciples in Chicago way back in the late 60s. A gang that's very much still active today, having spread to the East Coast and throughout the southern states. Larry Hoover is currently imprisoned at ADX Florence, the federal supermax prison home to terrorists, gangsters, and other major drug lords such as El Chapo.
Wow.
Hoover is currently serving 6 life sentences, while Big Meech was just released from federal prison in October of 2024. Back in 2008, Meech was sentenced to 30 years, and in 2024, Meech would have his sentence reduced to 20 years. A judge would then grant a 32-month reduction off of the 20-year sentence. Serving over 16 years straight in federal prison, Big Meech would finally be released. What the fuck Rick Ross has in common with either of these men is unknown, as the only drugs he sold was in songs, and the only prison Ross was in was the South Florida Reception Center when he worked there. But even then, whether Meech wanted a link with Ross because of the 14-year-old song, or Ross had some money for Meech so Ross could continue role-playing like a drug lord, many believe Meech's loyalty was due elsewhere. What's up, everybody? It's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all and y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're going to be speaking on Big Meech versus 50 Cent and the paperwork party. When it comes to war, few are as relentless and unforgiving as 50 Cent.
Yo, who? Can y'all write Savage in the comments for 50 cents?
And if you need a reminder, 50 just went viral again for dissing Irv Gotti after Irv was declared brain dead from a second stroke.
Wow.
50 would fire the internet up with a post saying, "I'm smoking on that Gotti pack. Nah, God bless him, LOL." The beef between the two dates back to the 90s, and even Chicago rapper 600 Breezy would leave a comment saying, "Every day, he shows us why they hit him 9 times. Well, it's rumored that Irv Gotti was one of the men responsible for 50 being hit 9 times. 50 has had a notoriously long career of not giving a fuck, and in this case, things have seemingly become personal because 50 gave a fuck. For those that don't remember, Big Meech's son, Lil Meech, was known for years as nothing more than his father's son. but he'd break into stardom when 50 pushed him into the direction of a lead role for a show. Based on BMF, Lil Meech would be playing his own father, and 50 would be the executive producer behind the scenes. With no experience, Lil Meech would state in an interview 50 invested in him early on, going as far as paying for his acting classes so he could secure the role in the show as his father. Becoming a success, Lil Meech would find himself in a new light and out of his father's shadow as he thrived in his acting role. With Big Meech being released, the father-son duo would finally be reunited, and everyone expected big things for the future. What nobody expected was Big Meech and Rick Ross. A welcome back legacy concert would be posted to Meech's Instagram with a long list of major artists set to perform in Broward County, Florida. It wasn't the fact that Ross was performing, it was that they took pictures and videos together. Immediately, the internet knew 50 was gonna react, and he didn't disappoint. 50 would post a picture of a rat saying, "I think I'm Big Meech." Now, many were initially confused as to who he was dissing, but it seems more likely that 50 was dissing Rick Ross as he was quoting Ross's own song. But then again, the caption would read, "His biggest mistake he ever made was not sustaining his relationship with Tammy Cowins. Her tell-all documentary reveals the truth." Tammy Cowins was once a business partner and close friend of Big Meech, but according to federal paperwork, became a federal informant. Ross would clap back at 50 with a post of his own, and of course he promoted his car show, which is believed to be the reason he linked with Meech in the first place. See, Ross isn't dumb. Meech being in prison for the last 17 years is a decent excuse, while Ross knew exactly what he was doing. Ross wanted to link with Meech, knowing the controversy it would start up, so he could then promote his upcoming car show. But the effect in doing so would leave Meech in a worse position than what he came home to. 50 would start dropping bombs, even posting texts from Lil Meech that read, "They just told me you unfollowed me off Instagram. And now you're managing Skillet Baby with Rocket when I brought him around you first when you didn't have a clue who he was. Now you're mad at me when I would take the shirt off my back for you. I can't believe this, man. You act as if I'm your enemy. I've only showed you love and loyalty. I'm human. I go through my own shit, but I never switched up on you. Fuck Ross. But he gave my dad some bread so he could afford to pay his bills until our next season starts. This internet shit is throwing me off, man. You know me in real life." 50 would reply with, "What next season?" 50 would make it clear that Big Meech's choice wouldn't affect just him, but also his son and the existence of the BMF show. After all, how could 50 continue a show based on a rat? While the Black Mafia family was pushing kilos of cocaine, BMF Entertainment was a music business used as a front to launder money. The label would promote several hip-hop artists, but Blue Da Vinci would be the only artist actually signed to BMF. Roughly 150 BMF members would be indicted, but Blue would be free for more than a year before finding himself taken down by the feds. The BMF rapper was accused of doing nothing more than loading and unloading cocaine from vehicles and counting money from stash houses in Atlanta. Blue would eventually be sentenced to 5 years and 4 months in federal prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release. In recent years, BMF members would accuse Blue Da Vinci of having snitched in the case. One of those men would be none other than Dexter Sosa Hussey. Having served 12 years for trafficking and money laundering, Sosa was the head of logistics for BMF as he took on the responsibility of managing loads of 150 kilos at a time and transporting them across the country. Sourced directly from the cartel, Sosa would study maps, routes, and familiarize himself with the areas in which he trafficked. He'd even go as far as learning which times of day police were most active, giving him a window to take advantage of through different time zones across the country. A calculated operator, Sosa would take the Vlad TV speaking on Blue Da Vinci.
Well, Did Blue Da Vinci cooperate or no?
Yeah, he cooperated. I mean, I didn't say it. It was in Miss Mara Shalhoub's book, where his own lawyer said, yeah, if there was anything else that we could do, Your Honor, to help you along with this case, my client would be more than willing to cooperate with you all to help you in this investigation. But now the thing of it is by you admitting what was done, you know what I'm saying, you what you done or whatever, but bottom line is, you know, you didn't take the single plea. You went in and was giving them information on shit that they already had and thought it was cool, but you still, you know, that was part of that. You just confirmed other shit that the other CIs just done told. Plus you did a smack video prior to that was giving them the whole fucking play. They never knew nothing about it. That smack video was detrimental in finding out who each person was.
What Sosa was referring to would be written out in Blue Da Vinci's sentencing transcripts. Blue was being called up in court, and as he made his way to the podium, his lawyer stated to the judge, "As he's coming up, Your Honor, I did leave one thing out. You had asked some of the other defendants whether or not they cooperated. Mr. McKnight, aka Blue Da Vinci, was one of the individuals who did attempt to cooperate.
Wow.
He was debriefed by the government, but basically he didn't know anything that was useful against the remaining defendants." So Blue Da Vinci's lawyer would essentially be the one to expose Blue did attempt to cooperate and was debriefed by the feds. Blue would then tearfully give a statement in court.
But that's not really telling though. That's kind of like it's still in the air.
Before being sentenced to 5 years and 4 months. But did he actually snitch? It's clear as day that he attempted to, but none of the information he provided was of any use or could be used against anyone. Sosa would accuse Blue of confirming things other informants had already stated, so while he technically wasn't making things worse, he definitely wasn't making them better, and he only did so to secure a lesser sentence. At one point, Big Meech would accuse Blue of snitching, but according to Blue, Meech would apologize after. And in the end, Blue would get the final laugh as his name remains stained, but it would be Blue that dropped the paperwork on Big Meech. Blue would do an interview with Cam Capone back in 2023 providing the paperwork exposing Tammy Cowins. Tammy was Big Meech's assistant. With Meech already taken down by the feds, Tammy would seemingly prove her loyalty by remaining in contact with Meech through calls and letters. With years in prison ahead of him, Meech would make a risky business move by signing over his life rights to Tammy. This now meant Tammy owned the life story of Big Meech and could turn it into millions. But this wasn't the only business move Meech made. While in jail, Meech met a cartel member by the name of Fidel Suarez. Suarez owned and operated a trucking company in California and had been investigated/arrested without conviction for drug trafficking in 2005 and 2009. Meech would use Tammy to connect Suarez with a lifelong friend named Dion Gatling, who's more commonly known as the St. Louis drug lord Cuffy. Tammy would bridge the gap for further drug distribution, but what Cuffy and Suarez didn't know was she was a confidential informant and was reporting everything to the feds. CS1, or confidential source number 1, has been identified as Tammy Cowins. Paperwork would state she first became a confidential informant for the Atlanta DEA back in 2009, where she provided information in a money laundering case that resulted in the successful prosecution and conviction of another Atlanta kingpin legend named Terry White.
It's believed that Terry White grew up in an Atlanta housing project. But when FBI and GBI agents arrested him last night, he was living here, a sprawling $200,000 mansion in Jonesboro. The 27-year-old was in the process of renovating his home, which features an outdoor swimming pool, a full-length basketball court, and more.
Had a media room where there were 24 TV sets on one wall hooked to a satellite dish. And you could hit a button and all 24 TVs would come on.
Agents seized the home and 3 cars which belonged to White, including this $110,000 Rolls Royce, which was paid for in cash. But there was more to be found inside. $47,000 cash, and a machine to count the money. Thousands in gold jewelry and mink coats. A small catch of ammunition and weapons, including a loaded Uzi semi-automatic pistol.
The feds would note Tammy Cowins was an unusual informant, as she had no criminal record, was not a known drug user, did not appear motivated by money, and was not looking to get a reduced prison sentence or charges dismissed. Instead, she appeared motivated by revenge, as Terry White had her unknowingly laundering money for him.
Wow.
Tammy Cowins was not initially a paid informant, but an agent would put her in for an award that would be a percentage of the property seized in the case. Tammy would receive a total of $55,000 for putting away Terry White.
Wow.
When Tammy Cowins became a confidential informant, she'd already been a longtime friend and associate of Big Meech.
It looked like they kidnapped her.
She held the life rights of Big Meech, and in 2011, Meech requested her help in coordinating a delivery of cocaine through Suarez.
Now, if y'all want to do part 2, y'all gonna write part 2 in the comments. If I don't see part 2 in the comments, I will not do it at all. Make sure you subscribe to the channels that are above my head. There are 3 other channels that might be more to your likings. Other than that, I'll see you on the next one, and I'm out of here.